Good morning. Welcome to Talking Church on this Tuesday morning. I am joined today with Pastor Steve Carey, and he's been on a couple of times, so he shouldn't be a stranger to many of you. Wherever you're watching from today, we're so glad that you're watching. We've got people joining us on the different platforms. Facebook, you can join us on Facebook, or people are joining us on YouTube, whichever one you prefer. It's good to have you with us. Don't forget, we want you to be interacting with us. So the address is I'm always amazed how I can remember all these different emails that we got. But this one is definitely hello@talking.church. So we're waiting for questions for you. We've got some things queued up in the future about having a question time, a little bit like the programme on TV. But I don't know, it used to be Dimbleby, didn't it? Who was the guy that used to do question time? It was, what was his first name? David Dimbleby. Do you know the name of the lady that does it now?
Fiona Bruce.
Well, we're going to be doing question time, but it's not going to be, because sometimes that's boring, it really is. It's not going to be no boring. We're going to take some of your questions and begin to answer them, but we've got to have some questions to do that. Listen, big shout out to those that are watching. Big shout out to Rose Hursthouse. Come on, say something nice to Rose this morning, Steve.
Oh, we love you, Brian and Rose. They're an amazing couple.
They are, aren't they? And we've got people watching from all over the place, from Plymouth, from Connecticut, from New York, like they do.
Widespread.
Yeah, it is widespread. And we're so glad that you're watching today. So don't forget, we want to know your comments and be commenting on the platforms that you're using. Also, please, please, please send in some of your questions. We want to have a question time. Also, subjects that you'd like me to cover during Talking Church. Now, England, at the moment, at its best. For those who are not living in England, maybe you're watching from Philippines. I know someone watching from Philippines, from America, different places. England at its best at the moment. Why is it at its best, Steve?
Sunny.
It is sunny. Forecast for today.
For like the next, I don't know, 2 weeks.
Forecast for today, sun. Tomorrow,
sunshine again.
Day after?
It's like living in California, isn't
It
it?
is living. It's California life. And
the beach isn't quite the same. A little bit more stony.
Little bit different. But we are loving this. So we are in English sun time and loving every minute. I shared on Sunday, I thought it was hilarious, right? We'd had 2 days of sunshine, and I saw it on Facebook. It's too hot.
Straight away.
It's too hot. What do you do with that?
Heat.
Yeah, what do you do with that? I couldn't believe it. I thought, is this just pure mockery? We've just come through the winter of discontent.
Yeah.
We're coming out of February grey sky life, and the sun is out, and the sky is blue, and someone couldn't help himself. They had to get on it. It's too hot. It's too hot.
Yeah.
And hey, we got Pastor Stuart going, good morning, Pastor Andy and Steve, and sunshine. Stuart's loving it. Good morning, David from Plymouth. Have you got sunshine in Plymouth? Do you know Plymouth and Portsmouth is one of those funny things that people, whenever I meet people in America, they go, oh, you're from Plymouth? No, Portsmouth. It's like one of the things I'm constantly, no, Plymouth? No, Portsmouth. Similar but far away.
Or which part of London is Portsmouth in?
Probably, it's that idea of what happens here in England. But here we are at Talking Church. So glad that you're with us today. We are loving the sunshine, weather forecast, sunshine all this week.
Apparently it's going to be
good.
The hottest spring on record, I reckon.
Come
on.
They're
always saying that, aren't they?
You've got to look in the camera and say that again. That's going to make people stay.
The hottest spring on record, prophesying that.
The hottest
Well, that's what the men said anyway.
It's just, doesn't it make you feel better, though?
Yeah, instantly.
I sat out in the garden yesterday listening to a podcast, and I just thought, this is living. And all that changed was a bit of sunshine.
You have your shorts on? Or not quite yet?
Not yet. It was on the edge. On the edge. No, I had jeans. I nearly did, but I thought, not yet, hold back.
Tipping point.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so, all right, that means summer's on the way, which is brilliant.
Although, you're going to Scotland this weekend, right?
I am going to Scotland.
So you're hitting winter probably, right?
I am going into deep winter. I am going to be, this weekend, I'm going to be in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And I am going to be in midwinter again in Glasgow. So pray for me, all right? As you guys are enjoying the sunshine here, especially in the south of England, I am going to be this week ministering in Scotland for our dear friends Roddy and Jeanette Gillis and their OCC.
Well, Roddy probably gets shorts out for like 7 degrees, right?
Roddy would, yeah. You know Roddy. That's what he's like. The minute the cloud breaks, he's got his shorts on and he's running. Or a kilt.
Yeah, kilt.
A kilt.
Yeah.
This
My
is
legs are
good
out.
kilt weather. Maybe I'll break out a kilt. Just keep watching facial media, Facebook. Facial media, that's a good one, isn't it? Facebook. And I could be wearing a kilt this weekend. Listen, let's put your votes in if you want to see me wearing a kilt in Scotland this weekend, and I'll see what I can do for you. I'll do anything to get people interacting. So the question is, do you want to see me wearing a kilt? I'm sure I can borrow one.
Shofar.
Yeah.
From the previous time.
Yeah, play my shofar wearing a kilt, which is going to be good. Listen, we're so glad that you're with us today. Now, Steve, you do a number of things in Family Church. You're obviously the congregational pastor of Havant and oversee the plant in there of Waterlooville and Waterlooville. Did I say that right? You know when you say something, did I say that right? Yeah, Waterlooville. And I always sometimes get messed up with Waterlooville and Waterside. Whole lot of water going on in Family Church. But also one of your roles that people may not know this is a fact, some trivia coming to you today, is you all also over the whole congregations, over all that Family Church is, because we're one church with many different congregations, including our incredible online congregation. Yeah. You are what we have termed church health pastor. Church health pastor. Now, you can kind of unpack from the title that that's about understanding church health. Would you want to tell people that are watching, like, that's intriguing. So as well as being congregational pastor of Havant, he's church health. What does that mean? What does your role involve as church health pastor in Family Church?
Well, if you think of it in a natural way, in terms of if you went to the doctors and said, you need a health checkup, they'd be looking at all manner of different things. They wouldn't just say, oh, you're breathing, all right, crack on, then get on with your life. They'd be looking at different facets of your health and your life. And so it is with church health. So often people have looked at the size of a church. Oh, that's all that matters. How many people turned up on Sunday? That's an aspect of it, but only one aspect. So we look at things like engagement, small groups, just how much are people involving themselves in the life of a church. What's the outcomes of it? How many people we're seeing getting saved? How many people we're seeing getting baptized? All those kind of things, rather than just the linear thing of this is how many people turned up on a Sunday morning. So really, are we going somewhere? Is there movement? Are we looking to be able to expand and do different things for the kingdom? So really, rather than, it's alive, it's breathing, what's the actual health of it?
So when we gather together on like a Tuesday as pastors, Waterside, Havant, Portsmouth, Gosport, different of the online congregations, what we're saying is, Steve, could you tell us our trends? Yeah. Could you tell us, are we growing? Are new people coming? Yeah. Are we discipling? Are we teaching people even financial economics, kingdom economics correctly? You're looking at all the different things happening across the congregation to give us an overview. Now, this has been a very significant role. Just want to say in here, somebody saying, not just a kilt, Andy, bagpipes. Not just a kilt. I hear you. I hear the request. Stuart's saying 6 votes, categorically saying no to the kilt. But there is a fan who's my sister-in-law, June, saying she wants kilt and bagpipes. Just thought I'd throw that in
bagpipes.
There. It's getting better by the minute. It really is. Let's see what we can be doing for you. But when we look at church health, obviously Family Church is one church, many congregations. What we're saying is the reason that we have a church health pastor is we don't just want to make it up as we go along and go and kid ourselves. I think I'm growing based on any given Sunday. Because one Sunday, you can have a full house. Yeah. And the other congregation can have a slow Sunday. So what you're looking at is the trends, including online congregation, of are we growing?
Yeah, and also like different demographics as well. So you might be really strong in one area, but actually, have we got any teenagers? Have we got a gap between 30 and 40? And when we see those things, actually saying, okay, God, what is your wisdom for how we reach that community? Whatever it looks like. But if there's areas that we're not in strength in, just in a normal health check, if you went to the GP and they said, okay, you're not healthy in this area, they'd say, this is what you need to do in order to get healthy.
They check different levels, like your cholesterol, your blood pressure.
And so if there's one specific area, they'd say, okay, do this in order to regain health. Just like that in church health, it's, okay, God, what is your wisdom for fixing this hole or to sort out this?
And I love that, because when you bring us the facts or the info during the week, we're able to see not just how many people are attending, demographics, like how many people under 18, how's our kids' work doing? And again, you may say, well, what's that got to do with church? To me, if we're going to be a spiritual organisation and take good stewardship of the church, this is good information, isn't it? And again, a lot of information, now this is going to offend Stuart, I know it, but a lot of information to running the church bores me?
I think he knows.
You reckon he knows?
I think he's all right with it.
It bores me. I walk into certain meetings.
It won't be a shock.
You see it on my face. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And there's a meeting going on. I'm like, oh, that's nice. And I'm out the door.
Yeah.
But this doesn't bore me because it tells us the health of the church. Now, especially coming out of what I've termed COVID days. Was it Bruce Springsteen? COVID days. Anyway,
He sang COVID days.
Yeah, no, he didn't sing COVID days. But coming out of that, it's been really interesting because we actually put this role into position just before COVID broke out, the pandemic broke out, and then suddenly we were in a pandemic. But now we're actually able to see the true strength of who we are coming out of an 18-month lockdown. How has this helped us to manage or get a true picture coming out of COVID?
I think we've had to be patient with what we've seen and realistic about what we've seen. And I think over a longer period of time, you start to see those trends, you start to see those areas of strength, those areas that maybe need working on. But it's helped us to see that actually there's been a gradual increase of people returning over time. I think when we first reopened the doors, there was a lot of people unsure, there was a lot of people getting back in the habit of coming to church and being involved in church and part of the body of Christ. So we've seen that gradual increase, but it's been good to see that trend happening.
So I suppose the key question is, how are we doing? Family church as a whole, not one congregation, coming out of a worldwide pandemic lasting 18 months. What's the condition? Now, I haven't told you to give me, better say this, Steve. What's the condition of family church right now?
I think the first thing to say is I'm really grateful that we put time and energy into keeping things strong in lockdown. Yeah. We didn't shut the doors and say, okay, see you in 18 months, 2 years, who knew how long it was going to be anyway. But the strong thing of not just the online church service, but the community aspect of little things that we did, like the Zoom. There were people doing quizzes, there were Connect groups still meeting, all that kind of stuff. So I think when we reopened the doors, it wasn't like, oh, everything's starting up again. It was, okay, the physical gathering's starting up again. But everything had been running anyway.
Yeah, we didn't shut for 18 months.
So we saw strength return. But then, since then, we've seen numbers grow as well, because people have regained confidence about coming back to different things. People have realised, I think, I've spoken with some people who didn't come back immediately, but actually they realised, I'm missing it, I'm needing this. And as life got back to normality and the busyness of life, actually there's an aspect of my life I'm massively missing, which is being part of a family of Christ and being with my family in Christ. So, what we've seen, I think we were pleased with what we saw when we came out of lockdown, and that was because we put a lot of effort during lockdown. Yeah. But then also seen a gradual increase across the whole, which is positive.
Okay.
Really positive.
Word on the street, and I won't let you know my informer, but you know him, is that in England, apparently people are saying at this moment there's up to or around 1 million Christians that haven't returned to church.
Yep.
Now again, you could break that down. Some people have got genuine reasons. Yep. Some people with concerns with COVID, sickness, other things. But also in that 1 million, there's a whole bunch of people that, and again, I'm not talking about online church because some people's return to church has been online church. Yep. So again, if you're a part of our online church congregation, this is saying you have come back to church, but it's a different congregation aspect to the physical. So again, don't want anyone feeling bad. No one needs any condemnation on a morning, But so including those who have come back to church in the online expression of who we are, they reckon that 1 million haven't returned. But you know what I've noticed, Steve? Those who have, because you could focus on the 1 million and go, well, that's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. In England, that's a lot. But actually, when I see the condition of those who are returning, there's no apathy, there's no complacency. And the richness, the servant heart, the passion within those who are coming back is actually really super exciting. Yet we've still got this fact that apparently across England, 1 million people have not yet come back to church. What do you think are some of the good, bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly? Anyone remember Clint Eastwood? Down, down, down. What are some of the good, bad, and even ugly reasons that some people in the 1 million are not coming back to gathering or being a part of church?
And it is good, bad, and ugly. I think there's tons and tons of reasons. We can't just sit here and give one simple answer. I think one of the things is people.
What would be some of the good reasons?
Some of the good reasons in terms of them not coming back would be things like the fact they've connected with online church for whatever reason. Some of them would be just genuine concerns that people have had about coming back, and we've seen the confidence rebuild. So you can kind of understand all those reasons for it. Some have suddenly started shift work, if we're talking about physical gathering, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of those have gone to online church. So there's that aspect of it. I think there's also another aspect where people form new habits. People decided, actually, church isn't for me because I've now got into this. A lot of people I've spoken to have got into different sports or different hobbies, and actually that's now taken priority over being on church on a Sunday morning.
But Steve, we all know about short-term success.
Yeah.
It's almost like unplugging a heater and thinking you're okay, but the heater hasn't gone off yet.
Yeah. A lot of the conversations would be, I'm good with God, but actually I just, I'm in that place right now where I'm doing something else. A lot of people have come out of COVID and said, I'm in a new season of life. That's a phrase that you hear. And so there's a lot of different reasons. I think one of the things that we need to look at and be honest about as church leaders across the church in this nation is to actually explain to people why it's important, to not just assume people come, and having that explanation of you are part of something rather than just you're attending something. And I think, this is probably something that COVID kind of made something happen that was almost happening anyway.
So the good
issue in that
the
sense.
good could be, all right, change of work habits. I mean, you've got Sheena in Havant who works on the cruise ships.
Yep.
She would love to be with church on a Sunday, but her work takes her away, and she actually, cruise ship Sheena, we could call her, she actually gets this stuff playing Sundays. On that, love that. She's using that missionally. So that would be a good, you got people that have got health stuff, that's understandable, and they've linked in with online church, so it stopped them coming back physically to a gathering. You've got bad, which is, well, I think I want to do life differently, and some of that stupidity, because the Bible says he who isolates himself seeks his own. But then you've also got the ugly, people saying, well, church needs to change, and what I learned in the lockdown is that church, that's ugly, because it's almost dismantling or disassembling something, but God isn't disassembling, he's reinventing. He's helping us to find ourselves, he's not shutting the doors. So you've got everything from good, bad and ugly. Okay, what do you think being a part of a church, I've got a question here. What do you think different people think being a part of a church is? Because sometimes if you don't change the philosophy that comes from a person's belief system, you can get them to act contrary to what they truly believe, but they'll always revert to a default setting. Now, some people, when we say going to church is important, what would being a part of a church look like, and what affects that in people's perspectives?
Well, I think for some people it's just they were raised going to church, an aspect of that, and so it's tradition. You have traditions at Christmas, you have traditions at different times, and almost for them a weekly tradition has been, we go to church on Sunday morning. But it has no effect on their life. They come, they enjoy it, they sit, they receive, and then they go home. And so there's an aspect of some people, it's just what they've always done. And I think, going back to the COVID question, when you unplugged that, they were like, oh, why have I actually been doing that? And there's not actually been a reason why they've been going to church other than that's just what I've always done. And you've unplugged them for a moment.
So some could be historical, like, well, when I was a kid, my mum and dad took me to church, and I've always gone to church, but they've never visited the thought, why do I go to church? Other people experientially, again, like maybe they've just got into the motions of doing it, but never stopped.
Some people, it's guilt-driven. So they have a fear of God that actually, if I don't go to church, then I'm... But the irony in that is, it's almost like Monday to Saturday, they lose that fear of God, but then they top it up again on the Sunday, and because of a way of... And it's almost that kind of Catholic mentality of confession and make it wipe slate clean again, start a new week. Works.
Also, I mean, with kids, every kid that we've raised, and we've seen so many come through family church now, they went to church because mum and dad told them to. And then you see them journey from that moment, 16 to 18, where they don't really have to go because mum and dad tell them to. They've got to find out the answer to that question.
If there's no revelation, then why would you?
Okay, now we believe, obviously, in family church, it's no surprise. We believe that church isn't just a Sunday gathering. It's also community or small group community. We've always said that to us, our ideal, and again, this is the same whether you're in physical congregations with us, but also online, because Sarah, who pastors the online church, she does a phenomenal job of keeping a midweek community together. Now, even before COVID days, I always said to people, you had characters who would say to you, well, I'm just leaving church. And I'd say, okay, before you leave church, why? And they go, well, it's just doesn't give me what I need. Then I always ask that second question, Steve. I'd always say, can I just ask you, are you just coming to big church? Are you coming to the event on Sunday, the gathering, the corporate worship? Are you in a small group? Are you in a community experience of what church is, where you're walking alongside real people, not just sitting next to them on a Sunday morning? And so many times, I can't even remember how many, people didn't. They'd been involved in coming to the event, but not being involved in anything. Do you think that's because one of their thoughts growing up, historical, experiential, what they've been taught maybe by their parents, was that actually the church experience is 1.5 hours on Sunday?
I mean, even it's the irony, isn't it, when people say to you, I'm leaving the church, and your kind of response is like, well, you are the church. You can't leave the church. What do you mean? How do you leave yourself? You're kind of paranoia there. But what they're saying is, I'm going to stop coming to the gathering of those who understand they are the church. But again, so that's why the mindset is all wrong. They view, I'm going to church on a Sunday morning rather than realising I am the church. And so they get to that point where they go, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. And they completely miss the whole point of why we go to church, the gathering. We are the church, the community, the small group aspect. And when you change that mindset, it stops being event-driven, that I go on a Sunday morning for 1.5 hours because of guilt or because of good intentions. People do it for good reasons, but still don't have that understanding that actually 24/7 we are the church. And, part of our going to church and the gathering is that whole point of serving one another, of encouraging one another, of being the church, whether it's on a Sunday morning or whether it's in a small group, connect group, whatever you want to call it, type environment. It's our responsibility.
Of being connected, right?
Yeah.
So if we separate, right, even though it's all one big thing, I get that, you got what we would call big church, which would be our weekly gatherings bigger on gathering. Sunday morning, pretty much. And then we've got what we would call small church, which is being involved in a connect group, being involved in a group that has something, an interest group, being involved in serving on a team with something that happens outside of Sunday. If you have both of those aspects of what church is, remember you're over church health and you're monitoring not just the success of our Sundays, but the whole of what we are as a community of people, community of faith. What should be the right expectations of a person on Sunday, whether they're watching the online church or whether they're coming to one of our congregations? Because sometimes I think people ruin it because they try to get too much out of something, and that something can't give it to them. What should people expect to get out of a Sunday gathering?
Well, and the question that you said about people expect too much. Sometimes people come to us and say, I wish there'd been more of this and I wish there'd been more of that. And that's when you have the opportunity to say, well, have you ever come on a Sunday evening? Have you ever come to a small group? Have you ever? So really, Sunday mornings are about, to me, celebration, a celebration of what God's doing, what God has done. It's a time of fellowship. Again, before and after, connecting with people. It's a time of sharing the word and teaching the word. But again, even with that, people might say, oh, well, the message was this. I wanted a deep study on whatever. There's different avenues for that. And, a massive aspect is the unsaved on a Sunday morning.
It's a net, isn't it?
It is. It's that net. It's, we often describe it as a living room. But when you walk into a house, often you're taken into the lounge, the living room. That's your first experience. But you're not going to get everything from the house that you need in that one room of the lounge, the living room, whatever you want to call it. So it's understanding what a Sunday morning gathering is. And like you say, not expecting too much of it or too little, or, knowing what it is in its place. But the bigger context of church of, okay, worship night might be an example. Some people would say, why do we have to have a word on a Sunday morning? Why can't we just worship the whole time? And you talk about, have you ever come to a Sunday night where we just abandon us and lost in worship? And oh no.
So the accusation is, why don't you? And our response is, we do, but you don't come.
Or the whole Sunday morning should be prayer. Right? And it's understanding you can't fit everything in there, but actually there's different avenues you can go.
We've always compared Sunday morning in some ways to the living room, haven't we? But if you had a big house, you could have a kitchen which represents being fed. You could have a bedroom that represents intimacy. You could have a number of rooms in a house. Excuse me, a number of rooms in the house, and then you have the living room or the entrance, and that's what we've created family church to be
Yep.
is that place where there's a little bit of every room.
Yep.
But there's never going to be everything that the other rooms represent. Okay, so when someone comes to church on a Sunday morning, the online gathering, in person, Havant, Portsmouth
Yep.
Gospel, Waterside, wherever it may be, Waterlooville, they should get ready for a corporate worship experience, and that's something. You got to be
There's
there.
something
haven't you?
about the corporate anointing
It
and
really
manifest
is.
presence of God.
And
yeah,
again,
yeah.
that's the one thing I think we've struggled with online church to try and provide.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
That feeling, we do the best we can,
Yeah.
but it's almost like, well, we can't get everyone physically in a building because it's online. But online church can be what it needs to be. But that's the one aspect, being together. It's like on Sunday morning, my goodness, they broke out a new song on Sunday morning. Janine and the team broke out a new song. And it was one of those songs that had a lot of the great of the modern, but also it was very African in its beat, in its drive. And the place exploded. I don't know if you could replicate that.
Yeah. And it's being real with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and being honest with that. But to me, Sunday morning, it's worshipping together, but also it's being connected, it's being with other people, it's hearing the word.
Yeah.
But then, okay, what should people expect, or what could people expect out of what we term small church? So if we make big church that Sunday experience, now, we're also saying that we're committed, we're promoting, we're encouraging people, be involved in small church, whether we're physically meeting or that's online experience.
Yeah.
What should people desire, expect, have a hunger for when it comes to small church?
To me, one of the major things is discipleship. When we talk about go and make disciples, that's not necessarily going to happen at the gathering in its fullness. There'll be aspects of it, but in its fullness. Now, again, you've got to understand what you mean by discipleship. It doesn't mean you're going to sit in a room and go through this course or whatever like that. But discipleship takes place in terms of iron sharpening iron, being alongside one another, the word being taught. Somebody saying, I'm going through this. What does the word say about it? Okay, let me take you through. I've experienced it. Oh, yeah, I went through this, and this is what God did for me. This is what God's saying about this. This is what obedience looks like. It's walking alongside when we're praying together, when we're journeying together, when we're laughing together. To me, it's just... you look in the book of Acts, yes, they had the gatherings where God showed up and 3,000 people were saved and baptized, all those situations, but then you've got the smaller aspects. And, it doesn't necessarily dig into the details of it, but there would have been discipleship walking
Unpacking
alongside.
stuff.
Unpacking, absolutely. And for me, Kirsty and I obviously lead the congregation, but we also lead a connect group, and I get just as much joy, if not more, out of a connect group aspect, because you're going deeper, you're really journeying with people. And to me, that's discipleship.
Yeah. Hey, you guys got any questions? Send us some questions. Remember, you can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. Do it on Facebook. I'm on Facebook right now, but also you want to send in questions by email. It's talking at talking@talking.church.
Oh my God,
That's the one it is. It's like going through my list of email addresses there. Okay, so when people engage in what we call small church, which is church outside of a Sunday morning service, they get discipleship. But also, I think that's where a lot of pastoral happens.
Yep.
I really do. Because imagine, right, we got a few hundred people come on Portsmouth on Sunday mornings. You're not going to stand up there and go, all right, I'm here today to pastor you all.
Yep.
Now, you're there to shepherd, you're there to lead, you're there to feed, all the aspects of what a shepherd does. But to me, what I've seen over the last 25 years of family churches, so much of what we call pastoral care happens in the small group or the outside of Sunday experience. Sometimes it's friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's mates just being together, chatting through issues. Life group or connect group leaders getting involved. Where that old mindset of, hold on, that's my pastor. He has to pastorally care for me. Yeah. And sometimes in their thinking on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
It's just not doable.
Yeah, all of that, an appointment time. And one of the greatest joys that I had during the COVID time when I was connecting with people and, we'd phone up or connect with somebody and just say, how you doing? And we'd find out, actually, the last month I've been going through this. And I said, but it's all right because my connect group have been there for me or my connect group leaders. And our joy was thinking, this is a healthy church.
That's church
This
health.
is a church in operation. But actually we're checking in with people and they're saying, yeah, I've been through it, but it's great because my connect group helped me out, or my connect group pastor taught me this, or whatever it might be, and it's just great to see that's healthy church.
Well, it's cell thoughts, isn't it? It's cell living. Now, small groups, they've been called everything over the years. They've been life groups, they've
and
been
then they come back
groups.
round again.
Yeah, and if you get Wayne just doesn't know what they are, and we just go, yeah, mate, we know what you're talking about.
Sunday school.
But they started off in your early days called cell groups.
Yep.
And the mentality or the thought there was the life of who we were present in the cells. And that really, whether it's a Life Church Connect group, Life group, whatever you want to call it, really is the thinking behind small group or small group community, is people caring for each other, people pastoring each other. Even in our eldership as elders, we've got that. We've got a small church experience that, I pour my heart out to you guys, you pour it, Jeff 1 week, Stu another, and we're walking together. We don't all get together on Sunday and go, right, we expect from this day,
everything.
This 1.5 hours, everything we all individually need. But sometimes I think because people's concept of what church is, that's where they get disappointed, angry, enraged, because they're actually expecting or demanding from Sunday morning something that Sunday cannot give them. Yeah. So if people are watching today and they're a part of, let's put online church there. Let's just say physical church. People who are a part of Portsmouth, Havant, Gosport, Waterside, Waterloo, any one of our physical meeting congregations, and they've been coming to Sundays. But they've really not ever got involved in the small group or small church of who we are. Yeah. What would be your advice to them today?
I think I'd just point to what's happened before and I've worked with people. It always makes such a massive difference. And, one of the best things that we can do to advertise, if you like, small groups or connect groups, is just to get people to share their experience. And time again, you'll hear it. I mean, this would be my experience when I came to family church. You love a big gathering, but then trying to get on with your life. The minute you step into a team aspect or a connect group aspect or whatever it might be, your life just grows because your experience of church just is transformed. Your experience of God is transformed because that's what we're meant to be, part of a body of Christ, part of our understanding. And so people are stronger for it. I see people grow in the Word because of it, because they're going beyond just a Sunday morning. I see people have friends. Often people say, oh, I'm lonely in this season of my life. And actually, connect groups are just, at a very basic level, just a great place to grow friendships, laughter, life, have people supporting you. So it's so vitally important. But you can only have that through revelation. You can tell somebody, but they've got to experience it for themselves. So why not give it a try? If somebody's watching, go along, try a couple of different groups, find the one that works for you, and watch your life be transformed.
Do you think sometimes when people travel from church to church hopping, they're actually looking for something where the answer isn't where they're looking?
Yep.
Because I've seen people move from church to church. You hear everything from there's no love in this place to I just don't fit. Yeah. And they've got this inner search for something that they know church should be, but they don't realise the problem may not be with the place they're visiting, but their understanding, how they contextualise, how they view church, being, again, historical, experiential, what they were taught growing up, Sunday morning, 1.5 hours, Sunday morning, 1.5 hours. Where if they said, hold on, church is actually 7 days a week. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Otherwise, what are we saying? You're a Christian for 1.5 hours on Sundays, really. And that's the problem with a lot of people is they've had that mindset of they almost change gear, change mode Sunday mornings.
Where's my Bible? It's Saturday night.
Where's my Christian hat? Where's my Bible? And they almost change mode. But the problem with that is when they leave for church on Sunday, they change mode back in to a different way of living. They don't read their Bible. They don't pray. They don't stay connected. To me, the small group of aspect of church is what challenges me because it keeps challenging me to live out what God's packed into me. Now, if somebody's watching and they're a part of our online congregation, we love our online congregation. But we've also provided with the online congregation opportunities to connect. And if you're a part of our online community and you've never connected with Sarah, the Zoom group, some of the stuff that they do before the meeting, really encourage you to do that. Because again, I don't want anyone feeling judged or condemned today, but it would be easy to go, well, I tune in on Sunday, it's about 45 minutes now, love it, sit, watch it from my living room, that's awesome. I think the same encouragement carries over. Absolutely. But also talk to Sarah. Get on a Zoom group.
Yeah, and just on that, sometimes people say, "Oh, it's not the same online." Or just to say, our Connect group, for example, has remained online.
Yeah.
Because for various different reasons. Actually, we just felt as a group this works online. Others are back physical. So if you're part of online church and you're thinking, "Oh, I'm not sure Connect group really works online," it does.
Yeah.
It really does work. And
that's one thing that lockdown taught us all.
Yeah.
Everything moved online.
Yeah.
And in some ways, we want to be hybrid. We don't want to go back to exactly what we were before. We want to say, well, this is what we learned. For us,
best of both.
Well, we've learned that leadership meetings sometimes are a lot more effective keeping them online because husband and wife can come. It's not travel time to get there. But there's a lot of benefits.
Space in Portsmouth.
Parking space in Portsmouth. There's a lot of benefits, and we've kept some of our leadership meetings online because it works better.
Yeah. Also, if you're part of the online church and you're thinking, I don't know about Zoom, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know Sarah would help people with that. I know that's her heart.
And they just got to contact Sarah. I don't even know what that is. That info at.
I'm sure we can write that down on the
somewhere
pin the
on
post
there.
before you give out the wrong address.
If not, info@family.church will get you
One-stop
to
shop.
the right place. So that's cool. All right, we're talking church health. This is Pastor Steve Carey, who, as well as watching over the Havant, Waterlooville congregations, obviously Sandy and Chris running Waterlooville, but you guys have really it came out of the Havant congregation. You're also church health pastor. What's some things looking forward? We've come out of COVID. We've come out of that pandemic season. Looking forwards, what's some things that we can do to make our church, family church, other people's churches that are watching healthier?
I think, we've got everything back up and running. I know if we're talking about generally across the UK, some people are still at that stage of getting things up and running again. And I think it's being true to where you're at as a church community. I could easily, sit here and say, "Oh, this is what's the next." Now, if we're talking general church, some people are just like, "I just need to get Sundays up and running again." I think for family church, I think we've in that place where that is functioning. Connect groups are growing. I think we want to continue to have more Connect groups. That vision that Pastor Stu's got, I've seen 100%. That's our vision as well. We want to see that happening. So getting more Connect groups up and running, getting more people understanding and engaging with Connect groups, and we're doing well with that. We want to see that continue. And then, there's got to be, which I know I'm preaching to converted, but the soul winner aspect of who we are.
Come on.
We're looking out, because otherwise we'll say, we've got everything back up and running again. We're strong and our gatherings are brilliant and the presence of God is there. But actually we'll be missing a whole aspect of the dying world outside that we need to see. So I think it's community and it's salvation, reaching out. I think are two of those things. And obviously discipleship is threaded within all of that.
Yeah, that's key things. And hey, encourage you, whether you're going to one of the physical congregations, whether you go to a church different to family church, this is all stuff that you can apply. Yeah. If you're a part of our online congregation, you're a part of a congregation that's very unique and very brilliant. We love it that we have an online congregation, but we just want everyone, whether they're in a physical congregation or an online congregation. I suppose the takeaway from today is we want everyone to be involved however they can, whether it's online or physical meetings, in small church.
Yeah.
In what church is outside of a historical Sunday morning meeting.
Not because we just need them to have something else to do in life, because the strength that comes from it. And you've seen it time and time again. We've experienced it. So, yeah.
No, it's true. Hey, hope that's encouraged you today. We've just been having a good old chat about church health. And a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be doing our question time. So send in some questions to hello@talking.church. Sending any themes you want. Sometimes I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about this week. Give us some themes. Let's hear about some things you'd like to hear us chat about. It could be me and Steve, could be me and Gina, could be me and Stu, could be any number of people. And it's so good to be with you this Tuesday morning. I hope that you, if you're in the United Kingdom, enjoy the sunshine. And if you're joining us all of a sudden, we were talking earlier about me going to Scotland, maybe I will wear a quilt. People are begging me not to. A quilt. Wear a quilt. Yeah, that's COVID days. No, a kilt. A kilt. A kilt.
Seen you coming off the plane. Wrapped up in
I'm wearing my quilt. You got it wrong.
Roddy's like, no.
You didn't read the memo. Wearing a kilt. Who knows? I might even get a picture for a kilt. Who knows? Tune in next week. There could be imagery, evidence of me wearing not a quilt but a kilt, and we will see. Anything can happen on Talking Church, and it probably will. I hope you have an amazing week. If you're in the United Kingdom, enjoy the sunshine, and God bless you. We'll see you next week for Talking Church. Thanks for being with us, Steve.
Pleasure.
God bless.